Hello everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. My name is Pete Hines from Bethesda, and welcome to a special ESO Twitch stream. I'm joined by Matt Firewar and Paul Sage.
Hi guys.
Hello.
And the three of us are going to walk you guys through today's big announcement, talk to you about what we're up to on ESO, what these guys have been up to with ESO, and what we have coming for you later this year. So let's start, I guess, at the beginning.
Did we announce something today?
I heard a rumor that we announced something today,
Okay.
And we're here to see if we can get to the bottom of it. So today, put out a press release and a bunch of info on our FAQ that gives folks an idea of what we have coming up. Probably should start with the console because we have an awful lot of folks who have been asking, hey, where's the console version? I want to play on PS4. I want to play on Xbox One. So Matt, you want to talk a little bit about?
Absolutely. So we announced today we're launching console on June 9th, both Xbox One and PlayStation 4. We're super excited about that. It's going to be called Tamriel Unlimited, Elder Scrolls Online Tamriel Unlimited, no subscription required. So we're really, really happy to get the console version out because and talk about it because we've been working on it for so long. You're going to see some footage of it today as we kind of go over the other things, the revenue model change and so forth. We're going to show lots of footage. A lot of it's from console. You'll see what we've been up to. You'll see it'll include all the features we've been talking about on PC. Up until now, all those are going to be on console. So we're really, really excited to have a release date, June 9th, so we all know what we're going to be doing this summer.
I think that's the coolest part about it, right, is the fact that it's not just, you know, what you got at PC, but it's everything up to and including update 1.6 included on the console. So I think that's kind of fun. You get all of the new features such as the justice system right as you start the console.
And I think we are going to talk a little bit later and have you guys dive into some of that, because I think if you are an Xbox One or a PS4 fan and you haven't been following along every day with the changes and updates, there has been a lot of stuff that's gone into the game. There is a lot of stuff that is core to what Elder Scrolls Online is going to be about for you. That, you know, justice system, I'm not sure what that means, or champion system. What does that have to do with? So we are going to walk you guys through some of that as well, and have Paul and Matt talk to you guys a little bit about that. Talked about the console, Matt. Tamriel Unlimited PC as well, coming this March, as we saw at the end of the trailer. So for all of our current PC subscribers, we are going to be switching over for them, you know, within the next couple of months. Talk a little bit about that decision and kind of how we, meaning us, all sort of wound up and deciding to go to that kind of a change and what that means for...
Yeah, we're, first of all, obviously I talked about console just now, but we're taking PC to no subscription required also. And what that means is if you buy the box, you don't have to pay a subscription fee on PC, but it also means if you are already a customer of Elder Scrolls Online, have ever purchased an Elder Scrolls Online box and set up an account and played, you'll be able to play with no subscription fee too. So all of our current players and players who have been playing since we launched last April. So, you know, we felt this was the perfect time to do this. The game has a ton of content in it. We've been adding a lot of content over the last year. There's so much stuff to do that we just feel the time is right. It's a good time to, as we announce console, to just go ahead and make the whole service subscription free. Now,
and we will touch on this a little bit later, but if you have subscribed to the game, if you have played the game, whether it's for a couple of months or 6 months, or you're one of the folks who are still playing the game and enjoying it, we're going to go into a little later what that means for you, as far as we've got a bit of a reward system built into this, that it's not just, hey, thanks for your subscription and here's this new thing, that we're sort of recognizing the folks that continue to play the game, continue to support it. We won MMORPG's fan voting competition for their favorite MMO. Clearly, a lot of folks still playing the game, and Paul, we want to make sure that those folks come into this new era with maybe a few crowns in their pocket, a little spending money.
Absolutely. I mean, it was cool. Thanks again to all of you that voted out there. That was a big deal for us. But yeah, we want to take the players that are currently playing and say, hey, there's going to be something in this for you just right out the gate when we launch the program.
Yeah, we understand that the guys that are playing ESO right now are kind of the really, really hardcore fans, and we're really, really happy that everyone's playing the game. We want to make sure that when we do the transition, we have some good stuff for you guys. So we'll talk about that later in the show.
So, you know, announcement's a few hours old, but we've already been getting lots of questions on Twitter, on Reddit, on our forums. Certainly one of the questions that we're getting is, as it relates to the business model, and why change? Why change from, you know, a subscription required $15 a month to play to a system where we still do have a subscription, ESO Plus, which we'll talk about a little bit, where you can pay, you know, every month to sort of get premium access, so to speak, and a bunch of stuff. But talk a little bit, Matt, about like why make the change? What's changed since from then till now?
So I think when you look at the ESO community, you'll see that we have done a lot of stuff over the last year to respond to community concern, community requests, making sure we put in game features that people want. We really have listened to what the community's been saying, and have done a whole lot of game changes over that time to put out new content, to change some game systems. The champion system, for example, which we'll talk about, came about pretty much as a direct result of community telling us that they wanted a more compelling veteran end-game character progression system. But it wasn't only game systems we were getting feedback on that whole time. It was also the revenue model. And as we are winding up Update 6, which has all this extra content and systems in it, and getting ready for console launch, we felt this was the time that if we're going to do it, that we're going to listen to the community. We're just going to change the service over. So really, it was listening to the community, seeing player habits, and this was the perfect time to do it. We're super excited to do
now,
this.
Now, Paul, you know, as it relates to sort of designing the game, you know, one of the things that all of us had talked about when talking about a subscription was, look, we don't want paywalls to be in between the player and experience in the game, and that's a really bad experience, particularly in a game like ours, particularly with a franchise like The Elder Scrolls, which is very much a go wherever you want, do whatever you want, be whoever you want kind of game. Something that The Elder Scrolls Online is a big believer in, and has continued to push it, including some of the features we're going to be talking about. But talk a little bit for folks about the distinction between like us being able to continuously update the game as we have been, and then DLC, and being able to now sort of treat those things almost a bit separately.
Yeah, again, not to beat a dead horse, but you know, early on I said that the cool thing is we're going to be able to start out with what is essentially 1.6, and that means that when you buy the game, all of the features that you have access to right now and in 1.6 are going to be available to you. And then as we start to introduce things like DLC later on, you know, that might be something that people are used to, you know, purchasing DLC. That's a pretty common thing in the industry. And so then we'll have the DLC. The nice thing is if you are part or a member of ESO Plus, as an example, then you'll be able to get that DLC along with that, program. So I think there's a lot going on with that. But we're not going to just stop with DLC. There's also going to be, you know, just updates that you get for free. There's going to be things that, you know, come online as we want to improve the game. We want to make improvements to whether it be class balance or adding new things to classes, you know, adding anything that we think is, you know, really going to make that core game experience better. That's still going to happen, all included in that initial charge.
Sorry, Pete. I think it's important to say at this time that you know, we're going to go into some of the mechanics of how these things work, but very important to state off the top that we're not actually changing the game to go buy to play. Like the game that you're playing right now, if you're a player, we're not like dumbing it down. We're not incenting players to pay through the cash shop by having a dumbed down version of the game. Basically, the game that you're playing today is the game that you're going to play when it goes by to play. We are going to have a crown store where you can go buy convenience and customization items, but in general, and this goes back to Pete's question, which is we talked about paywalls before, and I said many times they didn't make much sense, but the game has evolved a lot over the last year, and I think the times now we have so much content in the game, hundreds and hundreds of hours, that you're going to be able to play those hundreds and hundreds of hours just with the game purchase, or if you're an ESO customer already, just by having bought the game. So now's a good time as we go post Update 6 and post content launch, as we start coming out with more DLC. I think it makes more sense now to do it this way, just to give everyone the entire game as it exists right now for the initial purchase, and then have players purchase DLC as it comes along. It's a much more standard model.
Matt, talk a little bit about, we touched briefly on the DLC. Can you give folks an idea what you guys are thinking about as far as the kinds of DLC that you want to put out, the sorts of things that folks can come to expect? Because, look, we see it all the time. Like, we stopped making DLC on Skyrim, and people were upset. Like, no, we want more. We want to continue to grow and add to our experience. It is a thing that people sort of look to see post-launch support in terms of new areas I can go to. So talk a little bit about how you guys envision the DLC that you're working on and the kinds of things that folks can expect.
Yeah. For those of you that watched the QuakeCon presentation that we did back in the summer, we showed some video of kind of the things that we're working on. A lot of those items which you're seeing on screen right now are what will eventually come out in DLC packs for ESO. Really, you'll see, and I'll turn this over to Paul in a second, but you can expect the general philosophy is kind of continuing the adventure. Like, we're going to flesh out areas of Tamriel that haven't been fleshed out yet, give the players more adventures, more quests. Think of it like Skyrim. You get new stories, you get new areas to explore. Paul, you can talk about some of the mechanics that we're going to introduce with this too.
I mean, like right now you're looking at Orsinium or Hrothgar, which is, one of the, I believe, probably scheduled to be one of our earlier packs. And if you decide you want to buy this separately as just DLC, you can do that. If you decide you want to be an ESO Plus member, then this will come with that ESO Plus. And I think that's one of the cool things. So for people who still like kind of the model that goes with subscription, the DLC will absolutely support that. Here you can see some work we've done with Clockwork City. So there's a lot of cool places in that people are going to want to visit and open up. And there's multiple ways to get to these areas, and it's basically just allowing people who want the option of how they want to get the DLC, how they want to pay for it. It's giving them more options.
And how's that going to work with player levels?
Well, so that's an interesting question. When we introduced this, pretty much levels won't be something that are involved in these new zones. This will be an area that you can, once you purchase it, you'll just be able to go into it and play it with your friends.
So basically, no matter where you are in the game, I buy Tamriel Unlimited Edition on PS4, and I buy it, and then this DLC comes out. Doesn't matter what level I'm at, my character has access to this. If I buy a game on the day the DLC comes out, I can go into it early, I can go into it as high level content. It's scalable to my level, so it gives me an experience, and it's not something that says, well, in 30 levels you'll be able to go do this high-end content. The idea, Paul, is it adds into your existing game in a way that feels pretty natural.
That's right. When you buy something, you want to be there right away, and that's kind of what we've worked at and worked towards with this, is making sure that you can get in right away.
Okay. So we gotten a chance to see some of the areas that you guys are looking to add, some of the new zones that folks will be able to explore. Paul, you touched a little bit on the benefits of ESO Plus and kind of how we envision that as a convenience service, kind of a premium access service, where you're going to be able to access any and all the DLC that's available. If you're an active ESO Plus member, you get all of that stuff, but you also get access to the Crown Store, and you get additional Crown currency to spend in there. Matt, you touched on that a little bit. Can you talk a little bit more about what is the Crown Store? Like, what does that mean to players? What is it? What isn't it? What can folks expect to see?
Yeah, so you guys out there that are used to playing buy-to-play MMOs, it's that general concept. It's you buy the game, you get the game, you can play it for as long as you want. In the Crown Store, which is a virtual currency that we're introducing, you'll be able to buy what we're calling customization and convenience items. These fall into two broad categories. One is costumes, which you're seeing there now. Costumes you can purchase, cooler looking upgraded mounts that are only upgraded in the fact that they're cooler looking. They're actually the same tech-wise as the mounts that are in game now. Some pets. Here you can see a GUAR mount, which is going to be available at the time of Tamriel Unlimited limited launch on PC and of course console. You'll be able to purchase that in the Crown Store too. The important thing here is that the mounts that you buy there aren't any better than the mounts you would buy for in-game gold in the game. They just look cooler and different. You won't have an advantage if you purchase one of them over one of the ones that you get in the regular stable.
In fact, I think that's a cool time to bring up the fact that we've actually changed the way we handle mounts in game. So now the mounts that you've bought and you have skills with them, whether they carry more, go faster, those are actually now writing skills. So anytime you buy a mount from the Crown Store, all the writing skills just go directly to that mount. So it's really nice. That mount becomes, just kind of a representation of how you see yourself in the world.
So for the folks on the PC who, again, have been playing this game for 6, 8, 10 months, the change is going to be pretty natural. It's just going to be more options, more stuff to do. For the console folks who are saying, well, look, I haven't gotten to do anything. Like, you haven't even put it out for me yet. Come June, this is going to be stuff that's available for them so that as they're playing through the game, they can change up if they want a different kind of mount or I want a different pet. There's my favorite, Panther. I'm a Carolina Panther fan, so of course any Panther is immediately of interest to me and the first thing I will be purchasing. But it allows you to change.
Differentiate yourself from other players, kind of get your personality out there. There's costumes that I think we'll roll some footage of. There's vanity pets, there's mounts. Those are kind of one category of what we sell in the store. And this is, a chance just to kind of show your personality in the game by dressing the way that you want that's not necessarily attached to the armor that's actually wearing.
Well, and Matt, I think you've talked about it before, where like people who are into crafting and doing stuff have talked about, look, when I'm baking or cooking, like I want to be able to put on like a chef outfit and kind of identify myself as somebody who's in this role, who's doing this kind of stuff, and it allows folks to sort of immerse themselves.
And we play the game a lot, and we are in guilds with people that don't necessarily know who we are, and we see kind of the guild chat of the armor people like to wear. We know there's the Jester's outfit, which is my personal favorite. We know kind of the armor looks that people like, and sometimes you don't want to upgrade an armor piece because you like the way you look, but you need the benefit of the higher level one. You don't necessarily like the way it looks. Well, here with a costume, you can just kind of buy one of the looks that you want, and then you can upgrade your heart's content underneath. This is the one that I'm going to buy. I love the Armor Knight pack. Because I just like that look, but I can wear any armor underneath it, and this is just the way I look to the world, which is great. It also involves some fancy dress here, so if you want to look like when you go in town, and we have a wedding dress. If you want to do your Rings of Mars ceremony in costume, we're going to support that.
Paul, for folks on the console who might have missed it, talk a little bit about customization of armor, identifying guild. Some of those things that they might have missed are part and parcel of what they're going to be able to do that they may not have even realized has been added to the game.
Right. So, one of our most popular updates was the ability to dye your armor in the game. So you'll be able to, just pick your own colors. If you form a guild in the game, you can get a standard for your guild, which means that you can take shapes and kind of form these standards that represent who your guild are. A lot of guilds out there pick their own guild colors so that they say, hey, anytime we're in guild attire, these are the colors we're going to wear. And these are all the things that'll just come natural once you are on the console.
Makes it a little easier in PvP when you get some of those larger battles, and guys in red are my guys, or I'm looking for the blue of my guild. It makes it a little easier to spot where your allies are on the battlefield and kind of keep track of everybody who's doing what.
Absolutely.
And guilds can absolutely have their own identity. They can all dress in one costume. They could all have the rogue pack or the armored knight pack and look and have a consistent look across them.
As it relates to everybody, PC, console, Matt, you touched on it a little bit, but pay to win is a bit of a dirty word, as is free to play, which, let's just be clear, we are not, despite the people who didn't bother to read the press release and just started reporting on what we were doing today.
Don't read the headline, read the whole article.
Unless paying $60 for a game you consider to be free, in which case, okay, I guess we're free, but you got to buy us up front, you play it as much as you want forever and ever. But Matt, as far as the pay to win phenomenon of, are people going to be able to buy super powerful weapons that are going to make them, more powerful on the battlefield, or armor that allows them to absorb, insane amounts of damage and never die?
Yep.
Not the kind of stuff that you're envisioning for the Crown Store.
Like I said, our philosophy for the Crown Store is customization and convenience, not pay to win. there's a gray area everywhere, and as you know, when we announced our pre-order Imperial Edition, everyone put I can play as an Imperial as pay to win, which is not true, but you know, there are going to be things that people are going to think are more of an advantage. But our philosophy is, if you can do it, you can't buy anything in the shop that you can't get in-game by playing. So this is the other category of items, the convenience items. We've talked about customization so far. The convenience items are things like, I can buy health, stamina, magicka potions. They're basically much like the ones you buy from the in-game vendor. You can just go in-game and get gold and buy them from them, or you can go to the Crown Store and buy them. They're not as good as player-crafted potions, so it's always going to be better to go, if you want the best stuff in the game, you have to go to a player crafter. So we're going to sell things that, let's say you're older like me and don't have so much time because you have a family to dedicate to playing the game, and you want to kind of shortcut some time. You can go to the shop. You can go to the store, you can buy some health, stamina, magicka potions. We're going to sell repair kits as well, and we're going to sell soul gem packs. But again, these are the equivalent, essentially, of the ones you can buy from a vendor in the game. They're not super special. They're not as good as player crafted ones. So.
And Paul, I assume from your perspective, much easier to design a game where everybody's playing out of the same pool anyway, and you're not introducing all these random variables of like, well, the game works perfectly, and now let's throw in a bunch of stuff that's going to throw it off kilter. From your standpoint, this kind of nicely fits what you sort of already think about when you're designing.
Right. Anytime we look at these items, I mean, we look at them with great care. Again, we have to make sure that they are not better than anything you can get in the game. That to us is the most important part. Exactly. But it does cut down on some of the time that it might take to acquire some of the medium level items that some people just want. As you said, it's not pay to win, but anything like politicians on one end we're kissing babies and the other we're taking their lollipops away from them. So
you wouldn't. Monster.
The idea is a lot of times it becomes perspective, but I think adding that clarity of, yes, we'll sell items in the store that we want people to see as valuable, but that aren't going to be better than anything you can get in the game. The game is still going to be the best place to get the best gear.
All right, so let's talk a little bit more then about ESO Plus, what that means, what you get for it, what is the benefit of, I'm a current subscriber, I see the date coming in March where this is going to switch over. Yep. Why should I, why might I just stick with what I'm already doing, which is I'm paying an amount of money and I'm getting certain benefits. Now, to date, until 9:59 this morning our time, it was, well, you subscribe to play the game, you don't subscribe, you don't play the game. We're obviously making a big shift off of that, but there's still a lot of reasons and a lot of incentive to keep subscribing. So let's talk a little bit about that in terms of what you as a player are getting by being a member of ESO and the kind of benefits that you get on an ongoing basis while you're
I think the important thing is we still believe in a membership service. It's still something that we believe in. We came up with ESO Plus as a way for players to be a member and have a monthly recurring payment, but we want to make sure that there's value there too, and we think we have a pretty good value proposition for players to be members. First of all, you get 1,500 crowns every month for being a subscriber. You're going to have some in-game bonuses. It's not something that it's something that will help you get ahead a little. You get a 10% bonus to experience point gain. You see it on screen now. 10% increase to crafting research if you're a crafter, inspiration gain if you're a crafter, and gold acquisition. It's just small bonuses to show that kind of you're a member of the service, you're a committed member of the community. Generally, when Unlimited goes up for the first time on PTS, which should be sometime around next week, you're going to start to see the Crown Store. You're going to see how much items cost. So I know when I say 1,500 crowns per month, it doesn't have much meaning yet, but you're going to see that that's actually a pretty good deal, and you're going to be able to buy a lot of customization convenience items. And of course, you're going to have access to DLC while you're a member of ESO Plus as part of the plan.
And so the idea there, as it relates to DLC, is I don't ever have to worry about what DLC is coming out when. As if I'm an ESO Plus, I just get to play all of it.
Right.
Paul, talk a little bit, because we played with this idea a lot of like, what do you get for ESO Plus? At one point we were like, well, you're going to get like this mount and this pet and this other thing, and we were being really specific, kind of putting together like a big crate of goodies for you every month. And then we realized, actually, again, going back to what the Elder Scrolls is about, it's about what do you want and what do you want to be and what are you interested in, and we felt like it was far better to say, look, here's a bunch of money to just go buy the stuff you want. If you just want to spend it all on potions and repair kits, like, we'll just get that. If you need new mounts or want some new pet. So talk a little bit about the functionality there.
I think that's why crowns are so cool, right? It's because you're going to go in and decide what you're going to do with your monthly stipend of crowns. So you have 1,500 crowns. What do you want to do? Do you want to save them? Do you want to spend them on, a new GUAR mount? You do. What is it you really want to do? I think one of the other things that is really particularly cool about this that I got excited about were all of the experience points gains and research gains. So we didn't pull the fire sale on people, right? We didn't raise all the prices and then lower them artificially for this. We're actually saying that these are, as you play the game now, you're actually getting a 10% bonus to the experience gains you'd get now. And so I think that's one of the other compelling things about this is for those people who just want to go a little bit faster in, especially for me, I'm not saying I would ever use this for inspiration and research all the time, but I would use this for inspiration and research all the time.
Well, and look, let's be honest, like the three of us, in some respects, are the kind of guys that ESO Plus is for. I mean, I'm in the same boat with Matt. Like, I was up till 11 o'clock last night helping my 15-year-old work on his science project. I don't have 6-8 hours a day or every weekend that I know I can do. So getting a gold bonus to me, getting an experience bonus matters because my time is more limited and, quite frankly, I don't have the time to spend to get to the higher levels or to earn enough gold.
I see your need to sleep as a weakness, actually.
As do I. As do I.
But but I think the important thing here is that in people in the position that we're in, that have families, will take advantage of ESO Plus, but we didn't actually change the experience gain for players who aren't members of ESO Plus. It's exactly the same as it is today. So we're basically giving a slight bonus to ESO Plus members, but we're not changing the way the game works for people who aren't.
And sort of leads into our next topic, which is for the people who have subscribed, for the people who are currently subscribing, you're not starting from zero. We're going to give you a running start in a lot of ways as a thank you for saying, look, you guys have been supporting us. You're our biggest fans. You're the folks who voted for us for the MMORPG Fan Award. Like, we want you guys to come in and have crowns to spend so that you get to see what the store is like. And
it's, the people that have been subscribing since launch or off and on between launch and now, they're our biggest supporters. A lot of the changes in the game, and in fact the change to the revenue model came from suggestions from a lot of them. So we want to make sure that we have rewards for them. So at a base, players are going to get 100 crowns for every month they've subscribed. Mm-hmm. So if you subscribed every month, it'll be 11 months or so of crowns. You're going to get 500 crowns just for purchasing the game because we're going to give that to players. We're also going to have we've given away the 3-month subscriber reward already in the 6-month. We're going to have a 9-month and we're going to have a 12-month. And I'm not going to talk specifically about what the 12-month is today, but it's going to be something that you're definitely going to want, and it's going to be the only time you're going to get it, and you will be visually distinct from everyone else that has it. And that's going to be our big thank you to you guys. So when you see someone riding around on this reward, then you'll know that person has been with the game from the beginning and has been a huge supporter. So that's just the basics. But we really thank the guys that have been with the game since the beginning, and we hope that just making sure that they get rewarded for that is super important.
Matt, as you said, we're targeting next week to have this up on PTS for folks who want to jump in, folks that like to kind of see what the new updates are going to look like, help us test it and bang on stuff. So folks are going to get a chance to see some of those things as it relates to the crown store and what you can get. But Paul, the idea is you got all these crowns. When you come in right away, console day launch, PC switch over in March, there's going to be stuff that you're going to be able to take those crowns, whether you're a new player or an existing player, that you're going to be able to take and spend. So there are going to be some of the mounts and pets and costumes and some of the other things that we showed earlier, and some of the video footage is going to be there available for you right away, and then add stuff as we go. Yes?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we have plans to add more things to the store ongoing, but there's just going to be a huge selection of different items that you can buy, and some of those are one-shot items, so like the mounts, and some of them are ongoing items, like Matt mentioned with say the soul gems or the potions.
And thinking, Paul, is that it's going to be a mix of new stuff as well as stuff that might be related to some of the DLC. You know, we showed a few areas, Orsinium, so I assume when we do Orsinium DLC that you're going to see items in the Crown Store that will be thematically in keeping with these new areas that we're adding?
It'll absolutely be thematic with those areas, yeah.
Ongoing, absolutely. We put lots of cool stuff in the Crown Store for launch, and for Tamriel Unlimited's launch. But ongoing, we'll put stuff in the store. But especially when we release DLC packs, we'll have themed items in the store that kind of relate to the DLC. So there'll be Daedric themed items when we do a Daedric based DLC and so forth.
Armor sets, pets,
armor sets,
mounts,
pets,
yep.
You know, this is not a promise, but you know, maybe as an example, you'd ride a bear around in Hrothgar or Orsinium. So.
Bear. Paul knows I love bears. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the console version, because again, Paul, as you were saying earlier on, you're a PS4 and Xbox One person. Again, what you're waiting for is, I can't even play the damn game yet. So hurry up and make the damn game. Once they do see the damn game, they're going to notice that from a content standpoint, it's all of the stuff that is in the game, sort of from the start to now, features, content, all of the tweaks and changes you guys have made. You know, there's a lot of small stuff that I think makes a big impact on gameplay, but you wouldn't necessarily notice it because you balanced stuff. Quests have been tweaked and tuned along the way. But talk a little bit about what you guys have put into this console-specific features for ESO that your Xbox One or your PS4 folks are going to notice. What are they going to see? What should they be looking for?
So when we talked about even putting the damn game on consoles, one of the things that I thought was really important was communication and controls. And we have spent a lot of time getting in the controls, and so I think once people start getting in the menus and seeing, you know, that all the menus are laid out right there for you in ways where you can easily find things. When you talk about how combat works, you know, the game is laid out to work very well. That, you know, it turns out that having the 5 active abilities works well with the controller. I know this might seem cheesy to some, but for me, the haptic feedback on the controller, the vibration that it gives, adds that little extra something to it. It just provides a certain weight to it that we really like. So, you know, and then talking about the communication that you have with players, having the voice communication with, you know, members of your party and things like that make it really easy to kind of communicate, plan out strategies. I've got to say, internally, while I'm watching people do our more difficult dungeons or trials, I've really been surprised by how easily they're able to do it. You know, because the playing with a controller, you know, for some people is actually a challenge, but I think the way that we've set up the controller, the team in particular, has worked very hard to make sure that those controls feel good with the game.
And you guys are seeing here, everything that you're seeing in this footage we're showing here is all off of the console version. So if you want to see, like, hey, does it work? How does the UI look? You know, Paul, I think you touched on it. The biggest difference for me when I started playing it was how streamlined it is. You know, that it is a very big shift from going from a PC product to a console product, and sort of unifying all of that stuff in a much easier menu interface where you're scrolling up and down, you know, using your thumbstick to find, you know, which part of your inventory you want to access, or using those special abilities. As you can see here, it is a sort of cleaner, simpler thing in some respects, because it has to be. Just like with the, you know, you don't have a keyboard to chat with. Right. You've got to use voice. So it does sort of streamline and simplify in a lot of respects, because you don't have the luxury of saying, well, we can use any of these blah, blah, blah keys on the keyboard. You got to simplify it down and make sure that it's easy to navigate and easy to use. And I certainly have found that to be the case.
Absolutely. And I think it's, as you're watching the video here, I think it's really important to point out that we really haven't sacrificed any of the graphical fidelity of the game to get the console versions done. It still looks fantastic. So you'll see it's just as smooth, and you die just as smoothly. That was you, Paul, right? Playing.
It was not.
But you'll see the game still looks fantastic. It feels great on console. Just playing with the controller is very smooth. The UI has been completely redone from the ground up, as you saw in some of those clips. The menu system is all in one place. All the options are there. It's very clean. It's very intuitive. And here you can see the new dialogue system that's just been upsized a little, so you can see it from the living room across the living room. It's
I think a lot of people gloss over that. It's one of the most important things is making sure that when you're in your natural habitat, sitting on your couch and your TV's not as close to you as your monitor is, that we've had to do things like increase the font size, increase these menus to make it really readable, which seems like small things, but it's really made it pop more as the UI goes.
You're seeing here, good to know, this is not necessarily a console thing, but you're seeing some of the tutorial rework that we've done. So when Update 6 goes to PTS, hopefully in the next week, you'll see that we've revamped the tutorial, so it's a lot cleaner and the story is better presented. So you're seeing some of that here.
And obviously, again, the console folks are going to be experiencing that for the first time. The PC folks, if you're a guy who's played a game previously and are thinking about coming back, Matt, I think to your point, one of the things we thought about was somebody might want to just re-roll a character and start from the beginning and see how the game has changed from the outset. And I think you guys have spent a fair amount of time trying to smooth that process out, make it feel really clean and fun, and improve the fun parts even more, and make it a lot more fun experience while you're learning until you sort of get let loose into the
absolutely. We wanted to make sure that the first 10-15 minutes of the game were smooth and presented the game, because the game changed a lot between our April launch and now. We wanted to make sure that the tutorial kind of captured some of those moments.
Now, Paul, we've talked a little bit about UI and voice stuff, voice chat, and being able to communicate with folks, but at the core, the stuff that you guys have continued to push on is still those core elements of the Elder Scrolls Online, right? It's about playing the way that you want. It's about going where you want and doing what, kind of defining your character. Talk to folks, again, who haven't been tuned in a little bit about what they can expect from an Xbox One, from a PS4 game. What is Elder Scrolls Online going to feel like to them? Why is this a game that they ought to play?
I think getting in right away, one of the things you're going to notice is the way it controls, the way it feels, the way combat is not like in a lot of MMOs you'll have a target that you have and you just have to select and that's the target. But this is more like an Elder Scrolls game in the way that you freely move your camera around, you target. One of the new things that we're adding that I think is going to be really fun is the minute you get out of this tutorial area that we were showing is this ability to steal, this ability to be a criminal, right? And it's kind of that world freedom that you have now that's just this huge world that opens up to you, and there are going to be some consequences for your actions. So if you end up just taking things that aren't yours, you might get hunted down by guards, or you might be lucky enough to find a fence to sell that stuff to and maybe earn a little extra money.
So we can see some of that here. You can see now with NPCs being highlighted as you're going into towns and be able to pickpocketing. Again, folks who played Skyrim, it was one of the fun things about Skyrim. I was sort of testing the boundaries and figuring out what can I do, what can I get away with, what kind of character do I want to play? Am I a good guy? Am I a bad guy? Am I pilfering, stealing, trying to get away with killing random person in town and then running laughing out of town? All of that stuff is part of what's being added in the justice system. Talk a little bit about the justice system, Paul, and sort of what you guys were looking to as far as what you're adding to the experience, kind of what you're unlocking for players, what you want them to be able to do.
I think the first initial thing was really how do you get the verisimilitude that you have in a lot of the Elder Scrolls games, with the ability to just kind of interact into the environment and see how NPCs are going to react to you. And certainly with the justice system, that was one of the quickest things that we were able to look at and say, this is something that's important. I want to be able to steal items. Sometimes it's the quickest way to earn money in the game right now is to be able to go in and steal these items, but there's always going to be the consequences with these guards who are coming after you. That if the guards catch up to you, provided you haven't done anything which makes you kill on sight, they'll offer you what we call a costing here and allow you to pay your bounty. Now, however, if you just refuse that, then that guard will come directly after you, and you're going to have trouble getting away from that guard. Right?
And it's interesting, you know, we talked about this, I think, at QuakeCon. You know, we did it to give player freedom, because freedom is definitely part of the Elder Scrolls game, but and it definitely does that. But what it really does, it's kind of a game within the game. So it gives you more options in the sense of I need 500 gold for a new piece of armor. I can go out and go to this dungeon and get some items and sell them, or I can just go kill this guy and take his stuff. And it's not only a cool moral choice, but it really does open up kind of a whole different area of gameplay where you find yourself, I just need a couple gold, I'll go pickpocket someone, and then 4 hours later you realize that you have just, you know, gained a lot of gold, and you found the outlaw refuge where the fences are, and you laundered a cool sword because you stole it and you couldn't use it directly, but you can pay the guy and he'll launder it for you, and then you can use it. So it just adds this kind of element of you can just go into the world and walk around and do stuff that it didn't have before, and it really adds a cool element.
And again, going back to it is you guys trying to push the boundaries of, look, this isn't just a role-playing game. This isn't just a multiplayer role-playing game where I can play by myself, where I can play with my friends, where I can meet new folks and play with. This is really a game where you're supposed to be able to and can define how you want to play, define your own story, and to Matt's point, your story might be, I need 500 gold, and how am I going to go about doing that? I'm going to get it through legit means, I'm going to do it by helping people, or I'm going to be a rat bastard who stabs people in the backs and takes their money, and I'm perfectly fine with any version of that, whether it's by yourself, whether it's playing with others. This is a game still that is pushing the boundaries of big open world, go where you want, do what you want, tell your own stories, craft, fish, go public dungeons are a huge thing. We've seen games like Destiny that have done really well with this idea of grouping up with people, whether you know them or not, and going and doing these big romps. I think it's something that Elder Scrolls Online has been doing very well on the PC and is bringing that kind of experience to the console folks.
Absolutely, and in fact, we added a new skill line into the game that supports criminal gameplay. And if you want to configure your character to be a criminal, we fully support that, and you can end up playing a majority of your time in the game just going from city to city and stealing stuff from people and selling it, and it's a legitimate gameplay.
So I think we've covered just about everything we wanted to cover. Obviously the game is available for pre-order on Xbox One and PS4. There's pre-order incentive. If you pre-order the game, that you get the ability to play as any race in any alliance. You get a special pet. You get bonus treasure map. You get a map that help you find some cool stuff. You see up on the screen what you get. So the game is available to pre-order on the PC. If you're already playing, we hope you'll stick around. PTS next week is going to allow you to get a sneak peek at all the great stuff that's coming. Come March, it's going to be play without a subscription, still with the option to do the ESO Plus stuff. All the Update 6 will be in there.
Yep.
And if you've ever bought the game, and you've let your subscription lapse or whatever, by that time in March, you'll be able to come on and play the game again.
And the crowns will all be in your account when you show up. It'll be there, and
for however long you subscribe, you'll get $100 crowns per month, and you go from there. Interesting. I got a note on the mechanics of how this is going to work. When the game goes up on PTS, when Update 6 goes on PTS, we're targeting next week. It's not going to be buy to play there. The PTS is going to be just like it always have been. It's available to subscribers. Then Update 6 is going to go live in the time after PTS when we determine that it's ready. It will go up with all of the justice system and the champion systems and so forth. But the crown store will be turned off, and then we'll turn that on March 17th when they do the buy to play transition. So for you subscribers that are there now, you'll be able to go to PTS, but the general public won't. And then the game will be as it is now until March 17th, and then we'll go from there.
So like we said, we get a lot of questions. Folks want some clarifications on stuff. Let's jump in and start to look at what folks are asking about. Question we knew we were going to get a lot of. Matt, you want to talk about the beta for console? Because folks are dying to know, okay, you've talked about doing betas on console. When is it happening? When can I get in and try it? You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so obviously we had a lot of betas for PC before it launched. We're going to have betas for console. We're not ready to talk about specific dates yet, but we are going to have betas. It'll be before the launch date. We're not exactly sure how many people are going to be involved, how wide it's going to be, but it's going to be a pretty big beta, expected to be sometime in the April timeframe, but we'll definitely keep you guys posted.
Well, we have to mention that Dova Mom wants to know, can we get Paul Sage's shirt in game, please? Paul, you may have to go back to the team and find out if that's a costume we can add.
So the advantage of that shirt is you can spill something on it and you'll never notice.
Somebody wants to know, can we get confirmation that there will not now nor ever be a way to turn crowns into gold?
That's a great question. Crowns and the items you buy in the crown shop cannot be traded and cannot be sold. So it's definitely a closed system. It's your system. It's not a player trading system at all.
So Paul's a subscriber, has been since April. When he comes into the game, he's going to have a bunch of crowns. There is no system whereby I'll give 50 over here to my niece and send 100 over here to Vinny, buy himself something nice. Your crowns are yours to keep forever and ever.
That's
the items you buy with them, you keep. There is no trading. You're not turning them over into gold.
Nope. It's a completely separate system.
Good to know. Let's see. People want to know about the consumables available through the Crown Store. We already know there'll be health potions and soul gems. Will these be of equal quality to droppable items or craftable items? I think you talked about this.
Yeah, they are lesser quality than, so the consumables we're going to have are repair kits, soul gems, and health stamina magica potions. They are lesser quality than player crafted items, and they're about the same as store-bought items. The only reason why I'm saying about is because, like we're doing with DLC packs, we're changing the system a little bit to be level agnostic. So you can, obviously, we don't want you to buy a, for crowns, we don't want you to buy a potion and then level out of it. So basically, the potions are going to be your level when you use them. So we had to change the system a little bit for that. But other than that, they're basically the same as the ones you buy in stores right now, and they're not as good as player crafted ones. And dropped ones vary in quality, so it can be, that's a player system.
Question about the costumes and this. If you buy a costume, is it transferable between your characters? In other words, does it go to a single account, or are you allowed to take a costume or amount and trade it between your different characters if you have multiple?
Those are all part of what are essentially being called our collection section. And your collection session, easy for you to say, that section is the account-wide section. So
I buy a Panther, I buy a cool chef costume. If I've got one character or three characters, they all have access to be able to use that thing. So it's basically a purchase once.
Account shared.
Account shared.
And they don't take up your inventory space.
Yeah.
A question about subscription on consoles. We had previously talked about Sony and Microsoft and whether you might need it. You wouldn't need one for PS Plus, but you would for Xbox Live. Now that we're moving away from subscription required to this sort of subscription optional ESO Plus thing.
The way it stands right now is you need to be a PS Plus or Xbox member.
So basically, it works like any other.
It works like any other game
on the console. Right. If you want to play an online game, you need to have a subscription. Will there be the Imperial/Collector's Edition still for console for folks who pre-ordered those or who still wanted to get one? And the answer is yes, absolutely. You can still get it with the awesome. Moloch Ball statue, all the goodies that come with it. It'll still be the base game plus all of that stuff. If you reserved your copy, it's still good. It should be noted that the sort of the rebranding, the new box, the Tamriel Unlimited name, all of that, everything about the previous game is still applicable to this version. So if you bought the PC version, if you got it for Christmas, somebody gave it to you for Christmas and you haven't played it yet, that version of the game is still good come March. That version of the game is still good come April. If you pre-ordered it for Xbox One or PS4, your pre-order is still good. It's still for the Elder Scrolls Online. We just really felt like from a branding standpoint, from a messaging standpoint, to make sure folks were clear, hey, this is sort of clarifying for you, buy the game, play it as much as you want, forever and ever, no subscription required. There's no longer a limit where if you're not subscribing, you can't play the game anymore.
Right. One caveat to that is that in the certain countries under PEGI, we are now PEGI 18.
Right. Important to note that we are a mature game. now.
We finally matured.
Really, Paul, I mean, it's part and parcel of the justice system.
It is.
And the ability to sort of do harm unto innocence.
It is. I'm not saying that people should. I'm just saying that availability is there for them.
Question about how console players will be able to communicate with each other. Paul, you touched on that a little bit, but the game does have a voice chat option for. Do you want to talk a little bit about functionally how that works?
Yeah, it does, because there's parts of it that are really cool. Right now, when you walk into an area, you can hear people just chatting, and that's what we call our say area. And so you'll hear multiple voices just in there, and you can drop in or out of that as you choose. You'll be able to drop into your own group. And then in a group session or in a guild session for the voiceover, it doesn't matter how far you are apart from those people, unlike, say, the say area. And so there's lots of different I would say channels that you can join that are specific to the behavior that you want it to be.
And it's all user settable. So if you don't want to chat, you can turn it off and not hear anyone. You can set it so it's just your group that you can hear. So we gave a lot of options so the players can communicate with the players they want, and not with the guy who's blasting techno and in the middle in his play session.
You don't like
That's
techno?
you, isn't it?
You don't like I do not blast techno, although I have been known to have my kids DJing bleed through from the basement to whatever I was playing, and had to mute my mic before. A couple of folks have asked about transferring PC accounts to console. Probably 2 points we need to clarify there. One, we previously said way back when we announced the console version, each platform plays on its own servers. So there is no, if you're on Xbox One, you cannot play with PC folks. Xbox One folks play with Xbox One, PS4, PC, and Mac. But the question about we had the ability to transfer your character. If you bought the PC version by a certain date, we were going to allow you to transfer over to either the Xbox One or PS4 and transfer your character. Still part of the plan. Don't have an exact date yet for when that's going to be up. But basically, if you qualify for that offer, we will be contacting you. We'll be letting you know when that's going to happen. You'll have a period of time, a month or whatever, where you get to sort of opt in and say, yes, I want to get the console version. Yes, I want to transfer my characters over.
And to clarify, we call it the transfer service, but it's obviously you're just copying your character. You're not deleting it off PC. It's just making a copy of it on the console of your choice.
I think that covers most of it. I know there's going to be a lot of questions over the coming days and weeks as folks, continue to dive more into it. Really exciting for me to see the reaction to all the console folks. Again, number one thing I think universally we kept hearing from you guys was the date. Like, I want to play it. Just tell me when it is. We're very glad that you guys know it's June 9th. We can't wait to get it in your hands. As Matt said, we'll be talking to you more about beta plans and when we'll be doing those. A couple other things. After we're done here, in a few moments, we are going to run the full start to finish. Obviously, we released the fourth part today. So if you'd like to see what the whole story looks like, start to finish, as soon as we're done here, we're going to be airing that live. This will be available to rewatch immediately on Twitch as soon as we're done here. We're also going to be putting it up on YouTube with captions for French and German. So if you have friends who don't speak or understand English, who want to read what the heck we're up to in French or German, we are going to be putting those up. And keep your eye out for that. And we'll obviously be blasting that out over social media to let everybody know as well. Before we go, guys, anything else you want to add or say?
Just want to say it's going to be a really exciting 2015. Where we've been working on this stuff for a while, and it's really, really, really cool to be able to finally talk about it in public and show you guys what we've been working on. So we're super excited. We can't wait to see you on game.
Paul?
As for me, for those of you who brought us to this point, thank you so much. That is super important to us. And also, if you have not played in a while, this is going to be the time to get back in and play. And especially on console, I will be playing on console. I'm not giving anybody my handle, but I look forward to seeing you there as well.
Yeah, as was said, we really appreciate the support from all of our PC fans. You guys have been great. You've helped us make tons of huge improvements and helped, as Matt and Paul alluded to, identify the kinds of things we want to do in DLC, the kinds of things you want to see added to the Crown Store. We continue to listen to your feedback and suggestions. Can't wait to get it in the hands of the console folks. Thank you guys for your patience. Thanks for hanging in there. I can assure you, having spent numerous hours in my office in December playing the most recent build, I definitely think it's well worth the wait. Really happy with the way it's coming through. Hope you enjoyed getting to see the console footage earlier, and if you missed it, you can tune back in and rewatch the Twitch rebroadcast. Until next time, thank you guys very much. ESO for PS4 and Xbox One coming June 9th, and be available to play without a subscription come March 17th. We'll see you guys online.
Thanks, guys.